Shadowkeep has been out for a week and a half, and people are just starting to get comfortable with how Armor 2.0 works. I've actually transitioned over to Armor 2.0 quicker than I thought I would, mainly because Armor 1.0's stats are currently bugged, but also because universal ornaments are such a major leap forward. Seriously, if we could make all Armor universal ornaments, that would be amazing. The biggest component of Armor 2.0 is mods. They allow you to create builds, modify your character's abilities, and most importantly, they are often necessary in the late game when you're tackling really challenging content. Even if you aren't ready to dive into Master Nightfalls or anything, you should still know how to prepare for the endgame, which is what I want to talk about today. By now, you've probably realized that not all the original mods you had from before Shadowkeep were turned into permanent unlocks. Things like super mods and ordnance mods, etc. If you ran the menagerie a bunch and found yourself opening some chests in Last Wish, you probably acquired some of those old activity-specific mods in Year 2, things like Taken Armaments or Hive Barrier, for example. Good news is there are Armor 2.0 versions of each of them that are permanent unlocks. The 4 raid-specific mods from Last Wish, Scourge of the Past, and Crown of Sorrow, also known as the Invigoration, Repurposing, Barrier, and Armament mods, now drop as permanent unlocks whenever you obtain them from their respective activity. If you still have old copies of them, those old copies are only going to work in your old armor. Same goes for the Transcendent Blessing mods from the Dreaming City and the Leviathan mods from Season of Opulence. Everything from Giving Hand to Emperor's Blaze now drops as Armor 2.0 when re-earned from Crown of Sorrow or the Menagerie. The Season of Opulence mods that are not element specific are the ones that don't directly affect your abilities, such as Striking Hand or Power Overwhelming. One thing that should be made clear about the new versions of these activity-specific mods is that they only work on the gear that is associated with that season. For example, Last Wish mods only work on Last Wish or Dreaming City armor. That said, you can still mix and match your armor to have various different mods from different raids or activities, and you can still mix and match Armor 1.0 with Armor 2.0 if you don't feel like regrinding them. But it's super nice to have those old mods be permanent instead of just leaving them behind, especially with how useful a mod like Armaments is. It's also worth noting that the activity-specific mods from the raid can be slotted into any elemental type armor. They don't discriminate. Taken Spec, which is a weapon mod earned from the Last Wish raid, was also converted into an Armor 2.0 unlock. So if you have or had a Taken Spec mod on you when Shadowkeep launched, you don't need to bother regrinding it, which is nice because that might be the rarest mod in the entire game. Now onto Nightmare mods. There are 3 unique Nightmare mods that can drop during Nightmare hunts. Those are Nightmare Banisher, Nightmare Crusher, and Nightmare Breaker, each one working with a different element. These 3 mods actually have 3 different tiers, which is something completely new that we haven't seen yet. Usually mods just have a second tier, which is an enhanced version, and that's it. Enhanced versions of Nightmare Banisher, Crusher, and Breaker do exist, but there's also a 3rd tier called Supreme Nightmare Banisher, Crusher, and Breaker. Tier 1 cost 1 energy, Tier 2 costs 2 energy, and Tier 3, you guessed it, costs 3 energy. So even at their max, they're not that expensive. After having played a handful of Nightmare hunts, these high tier mods definitely drop from higher tier difficulties as you might expect. Playing on Adept or Hero is going to get you the tier 1 versions of each of them pretty easily, and you may even pick up an enhanced mod or 2, but they'll definitely have the best chance from Legend difficulty and the Supreme ones on Master difficulty. Reminder that the Dreambane mods and the Nightmare mods can only go in this season's armor, and you can see the cost and descriptions for each of them anytime by inspecting the gear from within your collections or even the gear that's inside of your season pass. Another group of special mods that was made permanent were the Minor, Major, and Boss Resist mods. These are extremely helpful mods that have a chance to drop on armor that's forged in the Reckoning Bank. It's best to farm these on tier 1 because each armor piece only costs 1 synth to forge, but you should know that these are super duper rare. Before Shadowkeep launched, it took me close to 30 runs of tier 1 to get 1 mod to drop, but because they are permanent unlocks now, and ones that can be slotted on any elemental type armor, they are absolutely worth grinding for. If you had these mods in your inventory when Shadowkeep launched, they were also automatically converted into permanent unlocks. As for all of the new Armor 2.0 mods, you can acquire them from a variety of different places. The generic ones that can be put on any elemental type armor, you probably already have most of them as they drop pretty often from vendors. Same goes for a lot of the elemental specific ones, everything from shotgun loader to machine gun scavenger, you can get those from nearly any vendor. The Gunsmith, Zavala, Shaxx, Failsafe, etc. The weapon mods Surrounded Spec, Rampage Spec, Radar Booster, Sprint Grip, Quick Access Sling, and Dragonfly Spec can only be acquired by purchasing them from A1. Just like all the weapon mods, once you have them, they'll be unlocked forever. However, the enhanced mods only drop from endgame activities. The most common place and easiest way to get them is through Nightfall the Ordeal. The higher difficulty of Nightfall the Ordeal you play, the higher it seems your chance of getting an enhanced mod is. At least playing on Hero seem to drop them more regularly. Just like the materials and exotics you can farm for in the Nightfall, the mods also do not have a weekly lockout. So if you want to spend all night grinding out enhanced mods and materials, you can do that, which is a fantastic system. It's great because it actually keeps the activity more useful than just running it once for power and then moving on to the next thing. Keep in mind the enhanced mods can only be slotted into matching armor types, which I think is kind of dumb, especially for exotics. Maybe that'll get changed in the future, who knows. There's also a handful of finisher mods not tied to the artifact that do things such as give you health back or refill your grenade when using a finisher. Those are also just random drops, just like the other mods. And the last group of mods outside of the artifact ones are the new Garden of Salvation mods. There are 4 of them total: Moat Collector, Ammo Collector, Relay Defender, and Resistant Tether. There are also enhanced versions of each of them, which are certainly going to be more rare, but all of them drop within the Garden of Salvation raid, which you can get from the chest. I won't bother going over the artifact ones because they're pretty straightforward. However, I did want to mention that if you reset your artifact, it's going to revoke access to the currently unlocked mods. So if they're on your armor or weapons and you reset your artifact, they're going to be grayed out. But you will keep all of your current unlock points. So you can just go back and choose a different set of mods after you reset. It's worth noting that the price of resetting the artifact does increase every time you do it though, which is a little silly. If you didn't notice already, the mods you claim from the artifact are also per character, but the unlock points are per account. So if you've unlocked all 12 points on an artifact, you can swap over to any character and spec the artifact completely differently with those 12 points. That's pretty huge in my book because I didn't want to have to level up the artifact 3 times in a row. Playing the campaign 3 times over was enough for me. Without a collection in-game, it's very difficult to see what mods you've unlocked, so what you should do is head over to the fan-made site called Destiny Sets. It's an amazing site, and click on the tab that says Mods. Once you've linked your Bungie account, it's going to sync and then show you every Armor 2.0 mod that you've collected and every mod that you haven't. This way you can keep track of all the mods you've earned and all the mods you still need to grind out. It's a huge lifesaver and definitely going to come in handy if you plan on continuing to play some more Shadowkeep. That's what you need to know about Armor 2.0 and its mods. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.